Jensen Huang said this recently. Once you've been raised by Asian parents, you need therapy for life. The audience laughed. East Asians nodded along. Anyone who grew up in that Asian world knows exactly what he means, because it wasn't really a joke. Sure, everyone could benefit from therapy, but it's particularly true for those who grow up in a typical East Asian household. One may wonder, are East Asian parents cruel? In a sense, yes, they are, and they may have to be. Many of them aren't aware that they're cruel to their children. They believe their parenting is for the good of the children, but in reality, such cruel parenting is mostly for the good of the status of the entire lineage. Their priority list may not even take children's mental health and agency into account. Many don't even see their kids as human beings, but as assets they can leverage at will. On the surface, East Asian parents appear anxious for their children to succeed or settle into a traditional, stable life trajectory. Underneath that anxiety lie so many unfulfilled needs, unrealized dreams, and unprocessed emotions, especially anger. It's a deep-seated anger, accumulated across generations, with nowhere better to go than to be passed down. Unsurprisingly, generational trauma is now a critical issue that's receiving growing attention in clinical settings, which is a good thing. Some find the bloodline-first values, economic growth, and orderly society in certain East Asian regions remarkable, but among the contributors might be a pressure cooker that has boiled for centuries, fueled by, among others, three big forces at the same time. Here's what they are. For the record, I love Asia. I deeply, deeply love Asia. I'm simply sharing academic insights that can help foster mentally healthier future generations. The first is filial piety, the idea 3,000 years old that children owe their parents an unpayable debt just for being alive. Not gratitude, but debt. You weren't asked whether you wanted to be born, but once you are, you're a lifetime debtor. The second is meritocracy. In its East Asian version, where a single college entrance exam, taken once, can decide the entire shape of your life, not to mention the many competitions starting from kindergarten, all the way to how grandiose one's funeral is. The third is face, the pressure to look decent on the surface, to perform composure in front of others, no matter what's actually cooking inside the house or the heart. Individually, any one of these might be manageable, but together they form something closer to a suffocating pressure system with no way to escape. You owe your parents everything. You owe society your performance. You struggle to keep everything decent in front of others, and none of it is allowed to look like it's hurting you. Therefore, it's very hard not to be angry, often just quietly. Some of that anger may be dealt with through consumption, the overt, irrational kind, or through primal desires like binge eating or unhealthy sex as coping mechanisms, and it has barely any legitimate outlet in the system. Not toward your parents, that's disrespect. Not toward the system, that's rebellion. If your social circle knows you go to therapy, you're immediately, and perhaps forever, labeled mentally sick. Therefore, that anger never gets processed properly, so it accumulates, becoming, for example, the never-ending expectations placed on the next generation. In my upcoming episodes, I'll touch on other ways Asian parents' anger and pressure get projected onto the next generation, and why it's not a personal flaw for either side. It's the output of a machine, grinding on everyone inside it. And for those in similar situations, once you see the inevitability of it, you may be able to stop blaming yourself and slowly heal from the cycle of generational trauma. We all carry anger. It has important messages for us to hear. If you want to start exploring yours, check out my anger logbooks in the show notes. And thank you. Your curiosity and willingness to translate anger are received and appreciated.